This September, join St. Jude Children's Research Hospital in honoring Sickle Cell Awareness Month. With one of the largest sickle cell programs in the country, St. Jude is leading the way the world understands, treats, and defeats life-threatening diseases like sickle cell disease.
Together, we can bring hope and healing to children around the world. Visit stjude.org/The Amazing Clarks and become a partner in hope. Again, visit stjude.org/The Amazing Clarks and help St. Jude save even more kids.
Dear listeners, I'm Anthony Clark.
And I'm Melanie Clark.
And we are
The Amazing Clarks.
We're both award-winning certified life and love coaches and a husband and wife duo. We've been coaching together as a team for 24 years and have been passionately in love for 32. They call us the Amazing Clarks because we empower people to live amazing lives.
And we're here to help get you from where you are to where you want to be in life and love. Love the Amazing Clarks is our personal love letter to all of you that still believe in love or want to believe in love.
That's right. And I believe in love. You believe in love, baby?
I do believe in love, baby.
So for those of you that aren't aware of the 5 love languages, this was a book that was written, I forgot the name of the author or fan.
Dr. Chapman.
Dr. Chapman. And he came up with this concept that people, how they want to be loved, there's like 5 categories. And the categories were words of affirmation, physical touch, gifts,
acts of service, and quality
time.
Yes.
And so everybody has like their one main one that they like the most, that they feel the most love when they're getting that language of love.
Yeah.
But we all have multiple ones.
Right.
Affirmations might be your number 1. Acts of service might be number 2. Gifts might be number 3. You may like all 5, but we have a preference.
Yes. A more dominant one.
Right. And when couples learn this, so not just in couples, but any kind of relationship, once you learn someone's love language, you'll learn how to love them better, make them feel more loved.
Yeah.
And likewise, when people learn yours, they'll be able to learn how to love you better.
Kind of want to talk about words of affirmation from a different perspective, because I was kind of analyzing myself and wondering why words of affirmation were so important to me and why it's my dominant love language. And, you know, I love human psychology and energy. And I realized that growing up, words of affirmation or the opposite, negative words or criticism were really predominant in my childhood. And growing up, like that really was all that I noticed, because my mother was very vocal. So if you were good, she would say you were good. She would tell you. And if she wasn't happy with you, she was very vocal and she was very emotional and volatile. So I learned to really listen to hear, you know, feedback from her, whether or not I was pleasing her. And if I was pleasing her, she showed me love. And if I was not pleasing her, she would tell me and she would withhold love. So does it make sense? Like, that's why if I need the words of affirmation as clues to whether or not I'm doing the right things or I'm doing things to make me lovable. And that was a huge realization for me.
You know, for me with words of affirmation, the reason why I don't think it's my number 1 is because growing up in Brooklyn, people are going to come at you all the time. People can say the most horrible things.
Right.
And they're going to be mean.
Yeah.
And that starts from, you know, even before grade school, when you just family, siblings.
Right.
Because that's their environment. There's, for some reason, they're just very critical, New Yorkers can be.
Right.
And then once you start school, it's going to come at you left and right. You're going to get called names. You're going to get teased. They tease people as a sport.
Right.
It literally is like a sport to tease you. It's called dissing. And after a while, I just developed a really hard shell. So to not care what people said, because they're going to always say something or always come at me. Right. So you develop this hardness where you kind of filter it out.
Right.
And it doesn't bother me. So I think that's why words of affirmation aren't my primary love language.
But isn't that interesting, though? Like, you see the pattern there, right? Like, really our programming happens between the ages of 0 and 7. Right. So whatever we're around during that time is going to really influence our love language. And so, like I said, my mom yelled a lot, like she was mad a lot. So I was waiting for you did good, you're not in trouble, to feel that she loved me. And it also made me really sensitive to criticism. Like, I remember crying when she'd yell at me and she'd say, "You're such a crybaby. You're so sensitive." So then even that became like, okay, I'm being criticized for my emotions. So needing the words of affirmation, that's like really my clues to whether or not there's love present, you know?
Right.
And another thing about the critical part, people who are really affected by criticism are probably generally going to need words of affirmation to feel loved, because criticism does not work for everyone. Like you just said, you grew up with it, so it's no big deal to you. It doesn't, you have thick skin.
It challenged me. It made us like, oh yeah, I'll show you.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, but when you are sensitive and words of affirmation are your love language, critical language can be really, really hurtful. And I've heard a lot of people say things like, "Oh, I'm just kidding. It's just a joke." But people who have a love language of words of affirmation, it doesn't feel just like a joke. It feels hurtful. It feels like withholding love. So if you or your person has words of affirmation as your love language, you want to be aware of that, and you want to give them as many words of affirmation as you can. So what are some of the words of affirmation that I use on you? Because I use words of affirmation all the time that you like and appreciate and make you feel loved.
With me, it's interesting. I don't necessarily need or desire them.
Yeah.
But it's not the words of affirmation. I don't like criticism. Like verbal, like
Right.
I don't like people I like constructive criticism.
Right.
I just don't
Nobody likes criticism, Anthony.
I don't like criticism. I don't like yelling because I see that as disrespect.
Right.
And that triggers me. That's like, okay, now you're disrespecting me.
Right.
So you don't have to give me words of affirmation. Just don't diss me.
Just don't talk shit.
Don't disrespect me. Yeah.
Okay, so you...
And then also in growing up in Brooklyn,
right.
you get your affirmations from accomplishments. And it drives it. That's why everybody's so driven.
Right.
It's like they say, if you can make it there in New York, you can make it anywhere, because there's so much competition. It's so driven that you're going to get dissed until you achieve some great things.
Right.
And whether it's through sports, whether it's through music, whether it's through money, job, career, whether it's through your looks,
right.
or it's something, you have to do something exceptional.
Right.
Amongst those millions and millions of people that are your peers.
So it's competitive.
It's very competitive.
Right.
And so I learned to get my words of affirmations through accomplishment. So then when you earn it, you get it.
Right. So we can kind of get a clue. Your love language is going to be acts of service.
I like when you give me words of affirmation as far as like, you're so sexy.
It's my favorite.
You're so talented. You're so smart. Things like that.
Okay.
Or even just thank you.
Yeah.
If I do
when you're
for
doing
you,
your acts.
just
doing your
thank
acts
you.
of service.
That makes it, that's the biggest one.
Okay.
Is thank you.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Wow. If you notice, the words of affirmation that you appreciate most from me have to do with still accomplishment. When I say you're sexy, you work hard on your body. You go to the gym every day. You are on top of all that. And it's an accomplishment. I like all the physical compliments. I like that you tell me that I'm good at things. You're really good at telling me like I'm good at business. I'm good at managing things for us. I'm good at connecting with people. Like you notice the things that I value in life and you mirror those back to me through your words of affirmation. Like, you're really good, babe, at remembering everyone's name. You're really good at staying on top of the schedule. Like those types of things, because I have a lot of pride in those things because they have to do with taking care of people. And that's one of my really big values. And you notice that I do that, and that's important to me. So those types of things are really uplifting to me when you notice them.
What about when I tell you how beautiful you are? Like, oh, you're gorgeous. And does that really do it for you? Or?
I love all of that. And I hope this doesn't sound conceited, but I have been hearing I'm beautiful my whole life. As a little girl, that was the first thing
I wonder why
that people said to me when they saw me was, oh, what a pretty little girl. And oh, you're so beautiful.
Right.
So
you are beautiful.
Well, thank you. But here's the thing with beauty. This is my perspective. I don't really have anything to do with that. I didn't make myself beautiful.
You could look busted if you wanted to. Trust me. You could just be like, I'm not doing my hair. I'm not taking care of myself.
Telling my business? Why are you telling my business on the podcast, Anthony?
Do that. I didn't say you look busted.
But I could.
But you could. You could not take care of yourself.
So I maintain my beauty well, and I manage it. Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
But to me, it's not a huge thing because I value heart more than physical.
Well, I'm not going to start telling you that anyway.
Well,
I keep calling you beautiful.
I
Way.
appreciate it. And I'll tell you this, I appreciate it more now as we're maturing. When I was younger, it was a given. It was like, yeah, whatever. And I still didn't see myself as beautiful as everyone else did. I'd always pick out the problems, right? Like I'd always be like, oh, my hair's not nice, or I'd always focus on the problems. Over time, I've learned to appreciate things about myself. So working on my own affirmations about my physical body and my physical looks. This September, join St. Jude Children's Research Hospital in honoring Sickle Cell Awareness Month. With one of the largest sickle cell programs in the country, the doctors and researchers at St. Jude won't stop until no child dies from this deadly disease.
But we can't do it without you. Bring hope and healing to St. Jude families right now. Visit stjude.org/The Amazing Clarks and become a partner in hope. Again, visit stjude.org/The Amazing Clarks and help St. Jude save even more kids.
Which brings me to this. One of the things about words of affirmation that I do really appreciate is, as all of you know, we're really into law of attraction, law of assumption, energy work, and your subconscious mind follows the words that you're saying in your mind,
Very true.
Things that you're saying to yourself. So I've learned to really give myself words of affirmation more because I want to program my mind to do positive things. And because the brain is always looking for threats and problems, a lot of people's self-talk, including myself, it's gotten better, is negative and it's focused on problems. And when you focus on negativity, your subconscious mind is going to guide you towards more negativity. So words of affirmation are super important to have a really good quality life.
Very true. And there's been studies where they have kids in school and they're performing below par with their grades.
Right.
And the teachers were like, they're not good. They ain't going to happen. You're not smart.
Yeah.
And the kids didn't perform. But then when they switched the teachers and put them in an environment where the teachers like, you're so smart. You're brilliant. And then their peers did it too. Then their grades dramatically improved because they believe it.
Right.
It's programming. And subconscious mind, it's all about programming. Whatever you feed it, it will perform.
Right.
Whatever you say you are, then you will become. And so most people are getting negative affirmations throughout their day in marriages, and dating, and just life in general. They're constantly, you're not good enough. You're not smart enough.
You're not doing it. Yeah.
You're not successful enough. You're not, all the knots.
Yep.
And so what you want to do is to remove those knots and replace them with, I am.
Yes.
I am brilliant.
And
I am
you
smart
are.
enough. I am. Words of affirmation. And so that's not only good to give to other people, but like you said, it's good to give to yourself.
Yes.
Yes.
100%. And I think that the takeaway from words of affirmation should be for people, especially for couples, is criticism doesn't work. Like saying mean things and saying you're not doing it doesn't help. Words of affirmation, actually people can download and eventually pick up that energy and start making changes. But negative words are not affirming, and it does not reach people's subconscious mind that makes them want to change any negative programming. So words of affirmation are important for marriage. They're important for your children, especially babies. Like you really want to be using positive affirmations with children.
Another thing about affirmations, not only are they great to receive, they're also great to give. Once you say something, your brain can't tell the difference between you or the other person. Because we're all connected, because we're all one.
Yes.
Then when I'm talking about you, I'm really talking about myself as well.
Absolutely.
And so when you give words of affirmations like you're great, you're brilliant, not only is that person receiving it feeling great, but just by you expressing those words, it's uplifting your energy and your frequency, making you feel great. Likewise, when you put somebody down, you're stupid, you're not good enough, you're actually talking about yourself as well. That energy is being downloaded in you. And so ask yourself, are you giving positive affirmations to others or negative affirmations? Are you not giving any affirmations at all? So I recommend that even if it's not your love language, to give as many positive affirmations to people in your life as possible, because as you give, you're receiving for yourself.
Absolutely. And positive words of affirmation are motivating. people want more of it. So the more you give them, the more that they're going to want to do to get more of it because it feels good. This reminds me of a study that Soul Pancake did. And they did this study where they had people write down what they love about someone and then call them and tell them, and they measured happiness. Like, I love that study because it does make us feel good.
It makes us healthier.
And makes us healthier.
Yeah. Healthier, energizes us.
Yeah.
It just does amazing things giving positive affirmation to people.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. Good job. So what would you recommend? How would singles utilize words of affirmation to help to enhance their dating life?
Oh, this is so good. We just actually did a coaching session on this because the brain looks for threats and looks for problems because it's trying to protect itself. A lot of times in dating, people are focused on what they don't like about people, and then they start affirming in their mind, men are like this, women are like that. Negative affirmations, right? Negative things. And so what happens is all of us, the subconscious mind picks that up. So then the subconscious mind keeps them focused on that, and they can't really see the good in people. And so they may have potentials and possibilities that they don't connect with because they can't see it, because they're just focused on the negative. So when it comes to words of affirmation, when you're dating, I would focus it more on, so the Build-A-Man concept that I always talk about, right? Like, oh, that was a great date. He was really interesting. He was smart. He was tall. He was fun to talk to, but I didn't feel connection. But all those other things were there, and I really appreciate that. So the next guy I date, I want all those things and connection. I'm looking forward to connection. I love connection. So by doing that, what you're doing is you're not telling your subconscious mind, which guides your life, that it's not possible, and that it's not there, and that it doesn't exist. What you're telling your subconscious mind is, thank you for that. I appreciate that, and I want something else. I want more. I want more of this, and I want more of this. And the more you do that, then the more that becomes your vibration, and the more you'll attract those types of dates and partners. Same thing with men with women. You want to focus on the positive things, and the things you don't like, you just decide like, oh, I don't like that, or it's not a preference. What is my preference? And then attach that preference to the positive description of the date or your experience.
Yes. Good job. Good job. I love it.
Thanks.
Love it. Love it. Love it.
No, it's really good. It's really important. Words of affirmation. I want to share this also. You can take these 5 languages of love, and since we're talking about words of affirmation, into every aspect of your life, your family members, your work environment. I do a lot of team building and coaching, and I use words of affirmation. I point out to people what they're great at and what they're good at and what I appreciate about them. And they get so excited because they're expecting someone to come and spank them and beat them up and tell them what's wrong. And when you point out people's greatness, it inspires them to be even greater.
Right. I'm going to take this even deeper. I'm going to take it to a cellular level.
Do it.
Your words of affirmation, like for example, right now I'm wearing a Band-Aid. Because I cut my finger the other day.
Yes.
And it was 2 days ago when I cut it to the point where it needed stitches. And I looked at it and was like, this needs stitches.
Yeah, I couldn't look.
But like I always do, and I do this all the time. I can have a major cut, something really bad that needs a bunch of stitches.
Right.
And I'll tell you, no, I'm not going to go. Give me a day or two and it's going to heal.
Right.
And you're always, you used to be, you got better. You used to be like, no, you need to go down there. It's like, relax. I got it. Give me the gauze. Give me the mop. I can mop up the blood. There you go. Okay, now. And what I do is I talk to my cells.
Yes.
It's cellular communication. I talk to my cells because my cells are alive.
Yes.
My cells are listening to everything I tell them. And they have antennas that are listening to everything that we say.
Right.
And that's how they respond based on what they're hearing from the external world and by the thoughts and words we speak. And so I tell them how great they are. How wonderful they are at healing me, and to hurry up and heal this for me.
Yeah.
And even though it sounds crazy to most people, it works. I cut myself 2 days ago, needed stitches. It's almost completely healed now.
Yeah.
And that's because our power of words are way more powerful than people will ever believe. And once you realize it and you tap into it, you can do your body responds to you.
Yeah.
And when I'm working out, If I see a part of my body where I want to improve, instead of beating it up and going, I'm not doing it here, this isn't good enough, I'm like, this is great.
Yeah.
I love you, cells. I love you, every part of my body. I have all these muscles. I love you guys. You guys are doing a great job. And so I'm still giving positive affirmations, and then I get the results that I want much quicker.
Yeah.
So it's in every aspect of life.
It's true. First day you cut yourself and you had me help you bandage it up, I couldn't even look at it. And then the next day when you wanted me to help you change the bandage, I was like, whoa, that healed really quickly. So you are really good at that. And I think that's the power of words. And it's also the power of your belief. You're really good at when you believe something, you believe it. And that's really what creates our reality is our beliefs. So good job on that.
But now let me assure you, if it's like a bullet wound, I'm like, we go to the hospital. Let's go.
I will be dragging you to the hospital. So I will override your words of affirmation on that. So don't try this at home, people. Anthony's kind of advanced at this. Go to the doctor if you need to. Another thing about words of affirmation for relationships, and actually just all people, is I've noticed that there are some people who have a hard time giving positive feedback to other people. It makes them uncomfortable. They'd rather say nothing. They may think it because maybe their love language is a different love language, so it's not comfortable for them. It makes them feel too vulnerable.
And usually you'll find that those people, are resentful because they didn't receive it.
Yeah.
Hurt people. And if they didn't receive it growing up, then they're going to be reluctant in many cases to give it.
Yeah.
It can go one way or the other, just depends. But in the majority of cases, I'd say it's because of that. Or they're not willing to be vulnerable.
Yeah. It's a vulnerability.
Right.
Well, which, we've said this before, vulnerability creates connection. So if you can't make yourself vulnerable enough to give a compliment or point out, positive behavior, then it's going to be hard to connect with you. So if you struggle with that, it's definitely something that you should work on getting better at. I think also there's been a belief that society has that being tough on people and being hard on people makes them better.
Being critical,
it pushes them and it drives them. And there's a lot of that old school belief. And
it could do it, but it's going to do some damage as well.
At the same time. Yeah, exactly. And I would say I've noticed a lot in our coaching with children, like when parents try to use that old model of, being tough on them, that today's children are not having that. No. They're a different spirit and they want choices and they want interaction and they want equality, small children even. So that critical language and not being able to encourage and give words of affirmation will really affect children in a negative way.
I agree.
Yes.
I agree.
So this is such a good discussion. I love looking at it from an energetic level, from a spiritual level, and our thoughts and our words and our actions and our deeds, they really create our reality. So even if words of affirmation is not your love language, practice it because we all need it. I hear people say all the time, I don't need it. You do. You do. You still need it.
And if your partner's love language is words of affirmation, you definitely want to.
You definitely want
to give them that.
Yeah.
And even if it's not your main one, you still want to give it.
And it's one of the easiest ones, I think. I love you. You're beautiful. Thank you. I appreciate you. Good job. It's not hard at all. Hard at all.
They're free.
Yes.
And you can try as many as you want.
Yes.
And so go for it.
Yes, exactly. That was a great discussion, Anthony.
That was an amazing discussion, Melanie Clark. Okay.
Thank you, baby.
I butchered that up.
Well, I hope that helps you guys practice words of affirmation as we're doing this series. Practice all of them. Take a week and practice words of affirmation on your friends, your family, your babies, and especially your love.
That's right.
Make sure you're connecting with us over on Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube at The Amazing Clarks.
If you guys haven't got a copy of our book yet, Crack the Code, Secrets to Achieving Your Happily Ever After, make sure you pick up a copy today. Available at Amazon.com. If you're interested in coaching with us on the podcast, make sure you fill out the form in our show notes. And if you're interested in becoming a life coach or just want to learn some skills to life coach yourself or the people around you, then check out our Law of Attraction Life Coach Certification class at the Law of Attraction LifeCoachAcademy.com.
And remember, change does not happen overnight. It's happening every second of every day. Love the Amazing Clarks.
This September, join St. Jude Children's Research Hospital in honoring Sickle Cell Awareness Month. With one of the largest sickle cell programs in the country, St. Jude is leading the way the world understands, treats, and defeats life-threatening diseases like sickle cell disease.
Together, we can bring hope and healing to children around the world. Visit stjude.org/The Amazing Clarks and become a partner in hope. Again, visit stjude.org/The Amazing Clarks and help St. Jude save even more kids.